Jets fans, Jets fans, look on the bright side. There's only 10 more games of this crap left to go. Let's get right into this. You know the deal. We are here. It is 6 p.m. It is Wednesday night, and we are live. Well, welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watts UK99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to join me here for our weekly Wednesday Night Live extravaganza. I'm glad you are here. Hope you're having a fantabulous kind of a week. Hopefully you are not letting the Jets ruin your life. That's all becoming our motto around here, because what else can you really say about this team, about this franchise, about this owner, about this coaching staff, about most of these players? Just top to bottom, it is a dumpster fire. It is a toxic wasteland. My goodness, how frustrating is it? Well, we got to do the 3 and out. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff. We'll get into the Tankathon. I'm going to take a deeper dive this week into Tankathon, looking at what kind of odds the Jets really have to have the number 1 overall pick. You'll hear a lot of people say, 0-17. It's a guarantee they're going 0-17. If nothing else convinces you, the NFL is a week-to-week league. Just look at pretty much any other team not named the Jets. Anything can happen any given week except the Jets putting together 60 minutes of good football. All right, so it's only 7 games down, and it's 10 more games left to go. But we are going to break that down. We'll talk a little bit about Woody Johnson and the comments that he made to the press. We'll talk about some of the injuries going on. Of course, we've got our recap. We've got our snap count breakdown to do. Trivia coming up later. But before we get into the 3 and out, which is how we lead off every show, I got to remind you, do you like this show? Do you like this channel? Do you like America? Do you like life? Do you like oxygen? Do you like puppies? Well, then hit the thumbs up, all right? And show a brother a little bit of love. It's very, very much appreciated. And for doing that for me, remember, for 15 likes, we get 15 likes tonight, we're going to spin that famous Jets wheel at the end of the show. All right, let's get now that the logistics are out of the way, let's talk about what's on my mind in a segment that we call 3 and out. So the first thing that I got to mention is the World Series. I think deep down, we all knew the Dodgers would be there as they continue to ruin baseball, as their manager is now echoing the sentiments of pretty much everybody. And credit to the Toronto Blue Jays for winning Game 7 in a great series against the Mariners. George Springer with a huge 3-run homer. Mariners have still never won a pennant, which is amazing to think about. And even though I'm not a Yankee fan, I think it is pretty cool that Don Mattingly is in a World Series now for the first time in his career, being that he is one of the Blue Jays coaches. Game 1 Friday. On the mound, it's Blake Snell for the Dodgers facing the immortal undecided for the Toronto Blue Jays. Number 2, Knicks opening night is tonight. That's why I've got Madison Square Garden in the background right now. I did my preview video on the Knicks. I uploaded that last night. So if you're a Knicks fan, check that video out. Deep breakdown of the roster, the coach, all that good stuff. And tonight is opening night in the Garden against Cleveland. Of course, the Knicks have no Josh Hart, no Mitchell Robinson. Karl Anthony Towns is limited with an injury. He is expected to play, but how effective can he be? And on the other side, Cleveland is missing Darius Garland and Max Strus, 2 very, very good guards. If you're for any Nets fans out there, if there are any still hanging out there, they face the Charlotte Hornets tonight. Just up the street from my house, about 2 hours away at the Spectrum Center in the Queen City. And as far as the New York Giants go, oh my gosh, what a game that was. A 33-31 loss in Denver, 33 points allowed by that Giant defense in the fourth quarter, I got to give Jackson Dart some credit. He's got moxie. I don't know how good he's going to be, but he will be a starting quarterback for a long time. You got to wonder, though, is this the right head coach? Because if you allow a team to score 33 points on you in one quarter, that's just ain't going to fly for all that long. It's just not going to fly. But the Giants, for all the hype, for all the excitement that they've got going on around them right now, they are still a 2-5 team. So let's see where it goes from here this week as they face the Eagles for the second time in just 17 days. All right, let's get out of there. Let's let go of the 3 and out. We will see you next week. There we go. All right, and I see that we got a few people here in the chat, so I think I got to say a couple of hellos. The first person I've got to acknowledge is the great Tony Alexio. He brings the fire. He brings the passion. He brings the opinions every week. Whether you agree with him or not, you got to give him the credit. He stands up for what he believes in. Will the 33rd team find another job? At this point, the 33rd team could probably beat the Jets. I would say. They'll find jobs somewhere. They'll find jobs somewhere. They'll start their own out with the 34th team, maybe. I don't know. The great Harlan Abraham, Father Abraham and his many sons, the many sons of Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. Let's just praise the Lord. I can't believe that Johnson hired a company to interview coaching candidates and some are former Jets employees. Well, I'm glad Woody's not doing all the interviewing himself. You know, I mean, hey, if some of them are Jets employees, hey, they had to get jobs somewhere because they couldn't get jobs in the NFL again. So I think we know of a couple of people that are employed by there. Tannenbaum, we know. Gase apparently is there. Maybe Mike McCagnon's got a coffee maker job over there. I don't know, but it's possible. The great Wild Chews become a regular of the show. How you doing, my friend? Glad you are here. All right, fantastic. I see we got a few more people lurking in the background. Hey, if you would like to join the chat, answer a question, leave your thoughts, you are more than welcome to do so. But hey, if I'm just background noise to you, believe me, I am not the least bit offended. Okay, let's get right into the New York Football Jets. Yes, it is time to do it. So, as we say every week now.
This is the New York Jets where careers come to die and the worst memories of your life are born.
I've already told you, until they win a game, I can't play the chant right now. I can't. I'm broken by it. Game 7. Let's do a little recap on Game 7 against Carolina. You know, I like to be that sort of transition role for you all, where we turn the page on the last game and look forward to the next game. And this is just this is pretty much the picture that sums it up. J.C. Horn making one of his 2 interceptions. But you think about how this game started. Let's make that a little bit. I got to make that a little bit smaller. That's better. Okay. So opening drive, the Jets return it to the 45, and I'm like, oh, okay, not bad. The drive stalls on the 34 of Carolina. And right away, when they went for it on 4th and 5, I was like, what are we doing? It would have been a 51-yard field goal. Why does this coaching staff not believe in Nick Folk? Why? He hasn't missed a kick yet this year. Maybe Aaron Glenn thought this kick was 61. It wouldn't have been the first time he messed up distances for a field goal attempt. And pretty much right at that moment, out goes the audio. How has nobody talked about this since the game happened? This was hysterical to me. This was about the most entertaining thing that I watched or heard. Out comes the audio, and a few seconds later, it comes back like AM radio. I was waiting for Jack Benny or Burns and Allen to start doing a routine from way back. Abbott and Costello, something like that. They were like underwater was Chris Myers or the. And we are here in MetLife Stadium with 20,000 people. You could barely hear the fans in the background. It was pretty hysterical. The quality of the audio pretty much matched the level of play on the field. I was listening to this the whole time thinking, why can't they kill the video too? But you go to just a few plays that really stood out to me, or a few moments. The drive, not the one right before halftime the Jets had, the one before that. Brees run, false start, and a screen pass to Alan Lazard, and they punt. When you are finally doing a screen pass, great. You're doing a screen pass with Alan Lazard? Half this chat could outrun him right now. We could definitely do a better job at not taking false start penalties. And the Panthers take the ball back. They convert a fourth and 3 at one point. At that point, you knew they were scoring. The screen pass set up to Chuba Hubbard with 3 Panthers in front and not a jet on my TV screen. Not one. 26 yards because he was running too fast. Of course, leads to a touchdown. Panthers go up 10-3. And I got to be honest, when Justin Fields took that last sack in the first half, and I think it was 9 seconds left at that point. I didn't even care. I didn't care that they didn't try a Hail Mary. That offense was broken in that moment. Absolutely broken. Can you believe this team, the New York Jets, have not scored a touchdown in the first half since week 1? It's week 8 right now. Week 1. And at halftime, the Jets had 25 total passing yards. 25! An improvement on the previous week, I acknowledge that, but you're still being outgained by Carolina, 174-97. Almost twice as many yards. And then you come back for the second half. The Panthers return the ball past midfield. They get held to a field goal. Now it's 13-3 Carolina and a double-digit lead. I pretty much knew I thought the game was over. But in comes Tyrod Taylor, which Aaron Glenn had to do. He put him in at the right time. And finally, so what do we see? A pass to Mason Taylor for a first down. Why doesn't Justin Fields ever throw the ball to Mason Taylor? Why doesn't Justin Fields throw the ball, period, half the time? Of course, that drive stalls out. On the next Panthers drive, Juwan Briggs came through with a big third down sack, the only sack the Jets would have all day, and takes Bryce Young out to where he has a high ankle sprain and he's going to miss multiple weeks. And then the Jets get the ball back, and this was the drive that had to convince you. So at one point, Taylor has a good escape on a third down. He finds Tyler Johnson wide open. Johnson actually had a couple of very nice plays in this game, a couple big plays. But then comes the razzle-dazzle, and you can see it sort of being set up as it's coming. I think, Hall with the handoff to, I think, the wide receiver who gives it back to Taylor, and it's all being set up, and Taylor underthrows it by about 10 yards, incomplete. Next pass, another deep shot, intercepted by J.C. Horn, as you see on your screen, and you knew that was it. And I'll be honest with you about something else, too. When Andy Dalton came in the game as the quarterback for the Panthers, I said, that's it, they're done. Dalton has never been a great quarterback, but he's always been a professional. He isn't going to make mistakes. He's not going to give the game away. And yes, the Jets defense held several times, but Horn with yet another pick off of Tyrod Taylor. And on the final drive, when Carolina has it, Xavier Leggett, third down bomb to Leggett. He pushed off illegally off of Zariah Thomas, I think, but that's what ended the game. You look at where this offense is right now, guys. No touchdowns over the last 2 games. The Jets over the last 2 weeks have 302 total yards. Total yards in 2 games. There are teams who have that by the third quarter of a single game. There are 22 teams in the NFL who average over 302 yards per game on a weekly basis. This is what the Jets have in 2 weeks. Carolina's defense, one of the things that I talked to you about last week and on the preview, Carolina's defense had 5 sacks all season going into this game. Against the Jets, they had 6. 6. The Jets have allowed 20 sacks over the last 3 games. That's tied for a franchise record. And a lot of people out there are killing the offensive line for this. People need to cut that crap out. Think about this. You're combining a quarterback who takes an hour and a half to throw a pass, or flat out doesn't trust himself to make a throw. You throw in a whole group of receivers who can't get open, especially with Garrett Wilson not playing right now. What do you think is going to happen? The offensive line can't be expected to hold the defender for 10 seconds. It's going to result in sacks. Justin Fields is averaging 3.8 yards per pass attempt. That is not bad. That is not terrible. It is rancid. You look at Justin Fields' net yards, leaving out the fourth quarter, leaving out garbage time. 173 against Pittsburgh. That's good. 17, 91, 97, 7, 25. And I have to start getting on the coaching staff more than I have in recent weeks. I got on AG more last week, but I will call out Tanner Engstrand this time. 2 run plays in the second half? What are we doing here? You're relying on your passing game when you have no receivers? Breece Hall for the game, 11 carries, 2 pass targets. And I know Carolina's good at stopping the run. I know they're loading up the box, but it's not like the Jets were ever down 20 points in this game. One good drive, put the ball in the end zone, and you're right in it. We're counting on Josh Reynolds and Alan Lazard, Arian Smith, and 2 incapable quarterbacks. I also said last week, this game was going to show us a lot about Tanner Engstrand. He had a huge challenge. What could he do with this quarterback with Garrett Wilson out? What plays could be designed? And yes, they tried a little bit of razzle dazzle. That was cute. That was nice. But it was throw. It's like we have 3 run plays. Run up the middle, delayed handoff up the middle, and that, and maybe like a slight off guard in between the guard and the tackle. That's basically all we do with the run game. It's insane what we are watching. I talked about needing more creativity in the run game, and we're not getting it. If you believe the bread and butter of your offense is running the football, then you need to call different run plays to throw the defenses, especially when they're loading the box with 8 defenders, sometimes even 9, because they know you don't have any receivers that can do a damn thing without Garrett Wilson on the field. But what do we really expect? With these quarterbacks, no Garrett, a hobbled Brees, no Braylon, your best run blocking offensive lineman is out for the season. What can you expect when you're doing the same thing again and again? Their best wide receiver on Sunday was Tyler Johnson, who I guarantee you will not be on this team next year. So for this week against Cincinnati, play Tyrod Taylor. I think everybody is just about on board with this. Justin Fields has looked inept ever since week 2. You have 30 college quarterbacks who can come in right now and be a better quarterback than Justin Fields is right now for the New York Jets. Yes, Tyrod Taylor will throw an interception now and then, but at least there's a chance that a pass play might work. Since week 1, the Jets are averaging 233.5 yards per game and 14.6 points per game. I can't even believe that the 14 is that high. That's stunning to me. And for the offseason, because I know we're going to get in some offseason talk pretty much now up until the draft. I will say this. Every week that I watch this just reminds me even more with the weak free agent class that's coming up this year. I can't entertain the thought of trading down for picks. I can't. You cannot go into 2026 with Justin Fields and another level backup quarterback like a Jake Browning, somebody like that. Kenny Pickett. You can't do that. Tyrod Taylor's a free agent. Outside of that, who are the free agents? Marcus Mariota? Okay. Joe Flacco, I know he's doing well right now, but come on, we've already ridden that train. Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Russell Wilson, Zach Wilson. I'll give everybody a chance to stop laughing. Case Keenum, Malik Willis. How much pain are you in when I say those names? Exactly my thought. And Daniel Jones, yes, he's a free agent. You think he's leaving Indianapolis? And if he is, he sure as hell ain't coming back to New York. No shot. He's got a nice cushy gig in Indy. He ain't leaving. The Jets in this draft need to draft a quarterback, and they need to draft him with their first pick. Now, as far as this defense goes, hey, it's easy to say back-to-back games, they held the opponent to 13 points, and they lost both games. The defense did what they could. That's fine. It's a bend, don't break defense right now. That's all well and good. We are seeing some adjustments. And once again, Steve Wilks, nobody's really screaming for his head right now. So what are we noticing? So one thing that I've noticed is they're not blitzing as much, especially on first down and second down. They took more chances on first and second down at the beginning of the season. They got burned. But against Carolina, I thought the pass rush was very, very ineffective. 1 sack in the game to me was very disappointing. Will McDonald is not even noticeable right now. In the last 3 games, he has 1 quarterback hit in each of those games. Not a single sack since week 1. That is stunning to me. Stunning. I hate to say it, but the people who wanted JSN, who wanted the wide receiver, look at the year he's having. Oh, my God. He might break the single-season yardage record for receivers. He looks unbelievable right now. Unbelievable. Then again, with the offense, who knows? If they had Garrett and JSN together, my God, that would have been quite the wide receiver duo. Man. But they did do better in the run game. I know Rico Dowdle got him a couple of times, but Quinn Williams in particular played the run very well, 88.4 PFF grade. Jamie Sherwood's looking better, more confident, more assertive by the week, I think. Sauce Gardner, I thought, played maybe his best game since week 1. making tackles in the run game. Sauce was targeted one time in 24 coverage snaps, 24, and on that play, he had a great pass breakup. So maybe we should let Joe Beningo, Brandon Tierney, and all the Sauce haters out there know that Sauce is still a very good cover corner. It is an issue that he doesn't get the interceptions that you want him to get, but if you want a cornerback who can cover, he can do that. And Brandon Stevens, since week 2, has continued to play very well. The issue is, if Sauce is out this week, which right now is the expectation, if he's out this week with a concussion, he's got to cover Jamar Chase this week in Cincinnati. That's scary. That is as hard an assignment as you're going to have in the NFL right now. And I thought A.Z. Thomas was okay in this game coming in for Sauce. I mentioned the illegal push-up by Leggett that ended the game. But the idea of Stevens and Thomas covering Higgins and Chase, that is a scary proposition for this game. And that's why, looking at the Cincinnati game this week, if the Jets don't get a pass rush going, Joe Flacco will carve them up, as Razor Ramon used to say. But let's say one more thing about this defense, and this is not going to be very positive. We know they have talent, and we know they're a lot better with JJ. They miss Quincy's speed, no question. The trades that were made for Juwan Briggs and Harrison Phillips were very good trades, no question about it. But remember, these offenses that they're going against are playing very conservatively. Once these teams are up about 10 points, 13 points, they know the game is over. They know the Jets are not coming back. The idea is run the ball, let the clock run down. Just don't throw like long bombs. Just, make plays. Just make little plays, get a little bit of yardage here and there, run the clock down. Because here's the thing with the Jets, they still have only one takeaway. And if you're not taking the ball away, you are making this absolutely Division I AA level offense drive 80 or 90 yards most of the time, and they can't do that. Again, one takeaway in 7 games. Unless you're giving this offense a short field, they ain't scoring. They just ain't scoring. But I do want to give a little bit of love to special teams and to their coach, Chris Banjo. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so according to PFF, the Jets have a 90.5 unit rating on special teams. That is the 5th best rating in the NFL. This almost feels like the really old days of the Jets when Westhoff was here and they didn't have great teams. It's like, well, at least we can count our special teams to be good, when they're not fumbling returns, of course. But that's really thanks to Austin McNamara and Nick Folk. The 2 best players on this team, you could say right now, are the kickers. So, hey, credit to Chris Banjo for making it work. There have been issues in the return game, and again, Kene Nwangwu is hurt. And as much as I have championed him, the way that he gets hurt, it's just you can't count on this guy right now. I don't want to be seeing Isaiah Williams do the returning. I want to see Kene, but he can't stay on the field, and it's getting to the point where he can't even play 3 games in a row. And even I'm frustrated by Kene Nwangwu at this point, as much as I want to keep believing in him. All right, let's go to the snap counts right now. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and let's see where the snaps are going versus where they were last week. I see a nice little jump here in the chat. Fantastic. All right, so last week the offense had 61 snaps against Carolina. That is up 4 snaps from the prior week. Tyrod Taylor played 33 snaps. Justin Fields played 28, down 29 from the prior week. Running back, Breece Hall played 33. That was down 9. He did get a little bit banged up late in the game. Isaiah Davis saw a big uptick in his snap counts, 29, pretty much double from the previous week. Andrew Beck had only 3 snaps in this game. Kene Nwangwu had 1. And again, why doesn't this team use Andrew Beck more? If you want to run the football, then why don't you put incredible blockers? Because guys like Olaf Fashanu, he's a fine pass blocker. He's not a great run blocker. So use Andrew Beck a little bit more, use them left side, and let's see where it goes. Doesn't make sense to me. Wide receiver Josh Reynolds played 58 snaps, up 8 from the previous week. Arian Smith played 56, up 22. Alan Lazard played 34 after being inactive the prior week against Denver. Tyler Johnson played 15 snaps, up 4. So really, Tyler Johnson, who got the least amount of snaps, was the most dynamic receiver they had. I know he didn't have the most catches or the most targets, but he made the most out of it. So, and again, I'm not waving the pom poms for Tyler Johnson or anything like that. I'm just saying he was able to get open a couple of times and make some catches. And then at tight end, you've got Mason Taylor at 57 snaps. You've got Jeremy Rucker all the way down to 17. And then with the offensive line, Josh Myers, Joe Tippmann, Armand Membu, Olu Fashanu played the whole game. John Simpson was benched after he took his just latest unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. He got one snap off where Xavier Newman, we said, hello, Newman. He came in, and Max Mitchell got 2 snaps. So it really seems like when they want the extra blocker and they're putting in Max Mitchell as opposed to Andrew Beck. I don't know. I guess that's what they deem most effective. All right, fine. And as far as defense goes, well, they were on the field a good amount this week. 71 snaps, up 11 from the Denver game. Jermaine Johnson, well, welcome back. 54 snaps, big uptick, up 16 from the prior week. Michael Clemens played 31 snaps. Will McDonald played 47, up 13 from the prior week. Bray McGregor, 17. And, of course, Tyler Barron was inactive this week. All right, so that's what we got there. So, yeah, hey. With JJ and Will, Michael Clemens relegated to the 3rd defensive lineman. Works for me. Herman Abraham, I don't think Simpson will be a Jet next season. Yeah, he keeps doing this. He will be gone. He will be gone. I can see the Jets signing one of the guards, and the more this happens with Simpson, the more likely they are to re-sign AVT. And not that it would be a long-term deal, but I could see being like a 2-year, like a bridge deal, or maybe like a deal that they could get out of easily, a very incentive-laden deal with games played, things like that. Because we know AVT is a fantastic blocker, a fantastic player, but this has to be an incentive-laden contract for AVT. Because who's going to guarantee him a ton of money? I don't know. Defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams played 51 snaps. Harrison Phillips played 40. Juwan Briggs, 32. And Jay Tufele played 12 before he went out of the game with a knee sprain. And he does appear to be pretty banged up, not on IR or anything, but I could see him being inactive for the foreseeable future. Linebacker Jamian Sherwood played the whole game. Nobody should be too surprised there. Francisco Malagoa played 67 snaps, up 17. Michael Walker was the 3rd linebacker, played 15 snaps. Jets, of course, have released Mark Robinson, and Cam Jones was inactive for this game with an injury. Cornerback Brandon Stevens played 71 snaps. Sauce played only 44 before he went out with his concussion issue. Jarvis Brownlee played 48. Looks like a very, very good trade. I will say this, the Muji, very much like Joe Douglas, has shown that he can make some effective trades. So I am encouraged by that. And then once Sauce went out, A.Z. Thomas came in, played 27 snaps, first action he'd seen in a while. And Isaiah Oliver played only 12 snaps and only 2 safeties. I've never said this. Only 2 safeties played for the Jets. Andre Sisco, Malachi Moore, Tony Adams glued to the bench as he basically should be. So that's what we're looking at as far as the snap count goes. We will see what happens this week when they play Cincinnati, but I would expect a good amount of secondary help to try to contain those receivers. All right, let's get into this right now. It is time to get into Tankathon. Here we go. Misery loves company. Can I get an amen? Amen. Yes. Let the Jets Church say amen. All right, so let's start with the draft projections. Now, basically, just to get into a little bit more depth on this, how this works. Each week during the season, ESPN's Football Pro Index, what they do is they project the draft order. They simulate the remainder of the season 10,000 times. Not 9,999, not 10,001. 10,000 times exactly, apparently. All right, and they simulate the rest of the games, and here are the conclusions they come to. So I decided to show you what the current standing is for this week versus the previous week, just like I do with the snap counts, because all of this must be put in context. So last week, the projected average draft position for the Jets was 3.6. That would be the highest draft position in the NFL. This week, it went down even further to 2.7%. And shrinking. The chance to earn a number 1 pick, my goodness, 29.7% last week. This week, 39.6%. The fact that it is basically a 2 out of 5 chance with 10 games left to go, that's crazy. Absolute. That is just nuts. That is 2 out of 5 shot that would happen. Earning a top 5 pick, it was 79.6% last week, 89.3% this week. So basically, 9 out of a 10 chance that the Jets will be picking in the top 5. And in the top 10, 93.1 to 99.1. Oh, I know that as Jets fans, we can make up some Stephen King novelist level shit. Okay, we can. But this bad, this early, this inept, this finished. Not even the most negative Jet fan, not Joe Beningo, not Modine, not Larry Romano, whoever the most negative Jet fan is out there. They couldn't have expected that this was going to get this bad. By the way, just to give you a comparison on this, for the next draft position after the Jets are at 2.7, is Tennessee. They're at 3.4. Miami is at 4.6. New Orleans also a 4.6 average draft position. And odds for the first overall pick, the Jets are at 39.6. Tennessee is at 21.6. Miami is at 14. And New Orleans right behind at 13.6. All right, let's get into the standings. So I've got the top 10 teams right there. Hope everybody can see it okay. Jets are at 0-7. And I put lines in between each record barrier. And I did it by the loss column. So I've got the 6 loss teams together, the 5 loss teams together. I just figured that'd be the easiest way to do it. So I've got the win percentage. Of course, I've got strength of schedule since that is the tiebreaker. And I also have strength of schedule difference. What this is a difference from where the Jets' strength of schedule is. So the Jets' SOS is at 487. Miami is at 474. So Miami would have the tiebreaker right now, and their strength of schedule is 0.13% better than the Jets. So if it's red, that team has an easier strength of schedule than the Jets. Okay? And only 2 of those teams have an easier strength of schedule, Miami and Cleveland. Both teams that would likely be looking for a quarterback, I would think. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, Cleveland will keep going for a quarterback until they get the right one, okay? It's just a fact of life. But the Jets are ahead of New Orleans. You also have to worry about for a quarterback. Cam Ward, I wouldn't sweat with Tennessee. Baltimore, I don't think you have to worry about them too much. They have Lamar. And after that, you have Vegas, who can use a quarterback. The Giants, forget it. Plus, they're going to win more games anyway. Arizona still has Kyler Murray, and their strength of schedule is 578. They're way past the Jets. And then Houston at 547, they have C.J. Stroud. I'm still knocking on wood. Maybe the Jets could trade for C.J. Stroud. I know it sounds insane, but I'm still hoping. Just that kind of quarter. I would love it. I would just love it. All right, so you have 3 1-6 teams. You have 1 1-5 team, 4 2-5 teams, and 1 2-4 teams. So as these buys continue to happen, it's going to get a little bit wonky, but that's what we're looking at right now. So the fact the Jets have that strength of schedule that they have, and it's going to keep getting easier. Think about it. The Jets on their schedule, they still have Miami, New Orleans, Baltimore, Cleveland, all those teams coming up. So keep that in mind. The Jets' strength of schedule, it's going to be even if they win one game, I'd be surprised if they drop further than number 2. I really would. Baltimore is going to win another game. We know that. I think Miami, New Orleans, Tennessee. I think 2 of those teams still play each other a little bit later this year. I'm pretty sure that that's coming up. All right. So what does this all mean? Like, just how good? I'm going to go just a little bit deeper here. Just how good of a draft do the Jets have compared to other teams in the league? And it surprised me when I looked on Tankathon. They are only the 6th best draft, going by draft power rankings coming up. And I decided to take a look. Why is that? So I put out the other teams that are right around them and what they have. So Cleveland is the only team in the NFL draft this year with 2 first-round picks. So it's understandable that they're going to leapfrog the Jets. They also have 3 fifth-round picks. Miami, 2 thirds and 2 fourths. Baltimore has 5 fifth-round picks. That's crazy. 5 fifth-round picks. Nothing crazy in the first 4 rounds, but they got a ton of mid-round picks, and we've seen Baltimore knows how to use those picks. Houston has 2 seconds, 2 fourths. Pittsburgh, 3 thirds, 2 fourths, and 2 fifths. And with the Jets, we know the deal. They don't have their 3rd-round pick, but they've got 2 fourths, 3 sixths, and 3 sevenths. So, yes, the Jets do have a lot of draft picks, but it's kind of like the Idzik 12, where a lot of those picks are very late in the draft. So if there's a situation where they could get a day 2 pick, I think they got to go after it. I really do. And if you trade one of the 6 or one of the 7s in order to do it as well, along with the player, I'm fine with it. But I want another day 2 pick. I really do. And right behind them is Philadelphia, amazingly enough, because they've got 3/3 and 2/4. All right. So here's the thing. With everything coming up, with the strength of schedule and all of that, I'm going to go ahead and remove the slide right there. It's just too soon to guarantee that the Jets are going 0-17. When you look at the teams on their schedule, how close a lot of these games have been, the Jets are going to win, I still think, several games this season. I really do. I don't think they're winning this week against Cincinnati. Especially without Garrett, without Sauce, forget it. I don't see that happening. But here's the thing. When the Jets do win, here's what I'm already envisioning. The people who want Aaron Glenn fired, and they're entitled to feel however they want. Those people will talk about, well, it doesn't matter anymore. The season's over. The season's garbage at this point. I'm just convinced the people who are out on Aaron Glenn, they can't be convinced otherwise, at least not this year. So we'll see what winds up happening. That said, when the Jets do win their first game, they better stay humble about it. I don't want to see any celebrations. I don't want to see any earth, wind, and fire dances. I don't want any of that. Take the win, little fist pump. That's about it. You want to smile? Fine. I don't need to see no Gatorade bath. I don't want to see a dance. I sure as hell don't want the Jets win camera when they're walking off the field. We won, baby. Yeah, we won. Don't you dare show me that. And the locker room speech, one of the things I always look forward to after a Jets win is the coach in the locker room breaking it down. Like when Rex was here and doing all that stuff, it was so much fun. It was awesome when they're at the home of the Jets. Oh, God, I love that. Just the rush of adrenaline that still goes through me when I hear that. It feels so good. Right now, if they were to do that, what do you even say? Good job, boys. Try not to suck again next week. That's about all you got. Now, looking ahead at the quarterbacks, it seems like that's just something that we're going to wind up doing right now is just talk about how are the quarterbacks doing. And week to week, we know it's going to change. But Fernando Mendoza, hey, looked good against Michigan State. 24 of 28, 332 yards, 4 touchdowns. He killed it. And right now, most mock drafts have him going number 1 to the Jets. So here's what CBS said in their most recent mock draft. He's logged only 3 turnover-worthy plays this season. I like that. While maintaining a 9.2 yard average depth of target. That's like 3 times as far as Fields goes. Okay. The ability to push the ball downfield without recklessness is exactly what teams covet. Most notably, he's taken just 6 sacks all year, owns a low 10% pressure to sack conversion rate, something Jet fans will appreciate. So even when he gets pressured, he's capable of escaping and he knows how to get rid of the ball. So he's got football smarts, and so few quarterbacks the Jets have had over the last few years have been smart football players. So I do appreciate that. Dante Moore went 15 of 20 again for 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception against just that powerhouse Rutgers Scarlet Knights team. Oh, my God. I feel like the Jets are the Rutgers of the NFL. God dang. Ty Simpson, Rusty's least favorite quarterback, 19 of 29, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns against Tennessee, who's ranked 17th in the country. Had a tough matchup, but he came through with a good performance and a win. So I got respect for that. As far as Lenore Sellers goes, he was the one who really fell off. And the fact that South Carolina, they've lost 4 SEC games, that's got to be something you've got to be concerned about. He's thrown over 200 yards twice this season, but he's got a bad offensive line. So it was a much better week for quarterbacks this week than the prior week. All right. So let's get into a little bit of Jets news right now. So, you know what? I'm going to get into, I'll get into, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I could get it. I'll get into, let's get into Woody first. Yeah, let's get into Woody Johnson. So he spoke at the fall owners meetings yesterday. Well, Tuesday, I should say. The media basically rushed him as soon as he walked in the building. Walked in last, okay? He was the last one to arrive. My God. He probably didn't want to be there before the meeting because he didn't want anybody talking to him. And if I was him, I wouldn't want anybody talking to me either. I'd have a whole pack of Q-tips in my ears. But he was probably not prepared for the media to rush him, and he basically blamed Justin Fields for the majority of the team's problems. What he said was the offense is just not clicking and you can't run the ball if you can't pass the ball. That's football 101. The truth is, Woody Johnson was not really wrong about anything that he said. I just wish he hadn't spoken. Or I wish somebody had been there to rush him away and into the meeting because the press was waiting to just hound him like he was freaking Princess Diana back in the day. Because here's the thing. What can Woody say? What can Aaron Glenn say, for that matter, that will make anything better right now? When you're 0-7, there's nothing you could say. We don't even need to hear an apology. He supported Aaron Glenn, which was no surprise. Remember, Aaron Glenn has a 5-year deal to coach the Jets, and we think it's right around $10 million a year, give or take $1 million or $2 million either way. He is not going to want to fire him and pay him off like he's doing with Robert Saleh. Not unless the perfect coaching candidate comes through or shakes loose, whoever that may be. And he's not selling either. Not unless there's legal issues or if his health is failing and his family doesn't want the team anymore. If the son doesn't want it. So it's just not going to happen. Oh, and speaking of Aaron Glenn, yeah, he won't reveal the starting quarterback for this week against Cincinnati. And apparently what he's saying is he doesn't want to give the Bills a competitive he doesn't want to give the Bengals a competitive advantage. One more time. That was every media member with their microphones muted and every Jets fan just going like this. Because these are your two quarterback options. Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor. What competitive advantage are we talking about here? What competitive advantage is there? Both stink. Both stink. God bless them. I'm sure they're wonderful human beings. They are not NFL quarterbacks right now. Not NFL quarterbacks. Oh, my God. These are the options, ladies and gentlemen. And for the Brady Cook crowd, I don't want to see Brady Cook not until Garrett Wilson's healthy and ready to go. You want to put Brady Cook out there with this receiving core? Oh my God. You'll ruin him faster than David Carr got ruined in Houston when he had no offensive line. Oh my gosh. All right, let's get in a couple of injury updates because the injury list is growing. Just like our lack of patience. Sauce has a concussion. He did not practice. I don't expect him to play. I'm sure he'll get this week off, plus the bye week off. Then he'll come back for the next game. Kenny Nwangu also dealing with a concussion. Don't expect him back for a while. Jay Tafele, we mentioned he has a knee sprain. Patorma Malba, as a result, is signed back to the practice squad. Tyrod Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all day to day. So the fact that Garrett went from week to week to day in 1 week is pretty good. I still expect Tyrod to play. I expect Breece to play. Garrett, I'm still a little bit unsure about that one. But the good news is Quincy Williams is designated to return from his injury. So the way that works is starting today, it's a 21-day evaluation window where Williams can now practice, but he doesn't count against the 53-man roster. At the end of that 21 days, the Jets either have to put him on season-ending IR or put him on the active roster. So if he doesn't play this week, you can be pretty sure he's going to be playing after the bye week. All right, so I think after the bye, the Jets are going to come back a healthier team, a more refocused team. My hope. I'm not saying a winning team, but I think this could be a week where they look pretty freaking inept. And this will be sort of a come to Jesus week afterwards. All right, so on that note, let's turn the page and let's look ahead to our opponent. They are the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, I had to go deep to find a good. Yeah, this is from the Freezer Bowl, where we clinched that playoff spot. Brad Smith taking it back to the house. Yeah, I think the temperature that day was pretty much the 0-7, pretty much our record. Anyway, here's 5 things to know about Cincinnati. So Jamar Chase and T. Higgins last season combined for over 2,600 receiving yards. Let's think about that. That's an average of 1,300 yards per receiver. The Jets may not have that many passing yards for the whole season. Right now, the Jets have thrown for 1,224 yards in 7 games. Okay, if you do the math on that, 1224 divided by 7, that's basically 175 passing yards per game. They keep that up, they're going to end up right around 2,600. Number 2, the Bengals have one running touchdown all season that was not by a quarterback. A lot of people were interested in taking Chase Brown in fantasy. He's got only one touchdown. Samaj Perine does not have a touchdown this year. Number 3, now the Cincinnati defense has been much maligned. It has struggled substantially, especially when Trey Hendrickson has been hurt. But one thing they do very, very well, they take the ball away. As a whole, their defense has 8 interceptions. There are only 3 teams in the NFL that have more. So the one argument I could make for Justin Fields over Tyrod Taylor is Fields does not turn the ball over. Taylor will take shots down the field, but as we saw last week, he's prone to throwing the football away to the other team. And the Bengals are a very opportunistic defense, sort of a risk-reward type defense. So keep that in mind. Number 4, Cincinnati has taken 38 penalties this year. That is a very, very good number, just over 5 per game. Only 2 teams in the league have taken fewer penalties than Cincinnati. And number 5, Cincinnati is really a team on the brink. They could go either way. They could be a buyer or a seller at the trade deadline. They do need defensive help, but they have pieces that other teams might want, like a Logan Wilson at linebacker or a Cam Taylor-Britt at cornerback. So their next 2 games are against the Jets and then against the Bears. And how they do in those 2 games, especially with their division wide open, that could really determine what they choose to do in an AFC that, it breaks my heart to say this, is basically wide open. So, all right, so that is an early look at the Bengals. And, of course, in the upcoming days, I will be posting my Jets-Bengals preview video, the 5 bowl predictions and score video. Those I will have up by Saturday morning. Of course, Thursday night, I will get up my confidence picks, where I will be attempting to pick the winner of every game. So be on the lookout for that. Had a couple of very good weeks as of late and steadily climbing in the standings. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we can, let's do a quick like check. Quick reminder. Everyone, please hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. There we go. I try not to go too heavy on asking you to do that because you all know the deal. You're great. You're loyal. You do it. But you never know when there's somebody new in here, somebody lurking in the background. All right. So let's do a quick like check. Remember, we got to get to 15. Yeah. All right. So we're on our way, but we still got a little bit of a ways left to go. All right. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what, it is, it's a little bit earlier than when we would normally do it, but I think it's a situation where we can go ahead, and I think it is pretty much that time of the week. Yep, it is that time every week. You know what happens. I head down into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge. I bust open the books. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. I pull up all of the websites on the Jets dark web, and I watch you K99 challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal freaking fan base in the National freaking Football League. How much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, let's play Jets Trivia. So let's add our question to the screen right there. Tonight's question, you know, it's going to be a Jets-Bengals related question. So I'm going to put 5 minutes on my timer and throw your answers down there in the chat. And let's see if we get it this week. Tonight's question, it's going to go like this. Name the only player to play at least 50 games for both the Jets and the Bengals. Only one player. So that's about 4 years or so. Right around, actually about 3 years. Yeah, 16 games. 3 games, 3 years. So the only player to play at least 50 games for both the Jets and the Bengals. Hey, Rusty Spooner, how you doing, my man? He's saying Boomer Esiason. Is it WFAN host who actually called me an a-hole one time? That was really nice of him. Is it Boomer Esiason? It is not. So Boomer, every time I do this, it shrinks the it shrinks. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it wasn't Boomer. Boomer played 134 games with Cincinnati and only 43 with the Jets. So he's about 7 short. So that's very close. I will say this. There's another player who played 49 games with the Jets and played a lot more with Cincinnati. But there is one player who played over 50 games with both. So I want to see if you get one of the two. I can tell you the correct answer is an offensive player. I'm going to narrow that down because I think it can. Hey, the LDX, why did he say that to you? He talked about something with the Atlanta Braves doing some sort of charity thing, and I said, I'm sorry, I just can't bear to support cheer for anything the Atlanta Braves do because they're my least favorite team in sports. And he said it always takes one a-hole to ruin everything. And I said I didn't insult them or anything like that. It's just like, oh, please don't be pointing out good things that the Atlanta Braves are doing, please. And especially as a Mets fan, he should know that. So he did that. See, my problem with these people, with like these celebrities, if you give them a compliment, they ignore you. But if you disagree or question them, they'll go back at you. That's the problem. It's like, acknowledge that I'm giving you credit or that I'm complimenting you. It just comes across as very thin-skinned to me. Billy SBC says Jeff Blake. Jeff Blake, I don't think ever suited up for the Jets in a game. I know he was with them for a bit. He was drafted by them, but Jeff Blake didn't really play for the Jets. I don't think he ever started a game. Boomer's an a-hole. Yeah, Boomer's done some good charity stuff with cystic fibrosis and stuff like that, but he is bougie. And I do appreciate that he's a big Rangers fan like I am. But I just didn't appreciate that he didn't have to insult me. Because I didn't insult him and I didn't insult the Braves. I just said I can't bear to root for them or to support them. I can't. So what are you going to do? It's fine. It's always interesting. It feels like the people who don't know you are the ones who insult you the hardest. Maybe unless you're married. I don't know. Maybe that's true. I don't know. Let's see. DLDX, how about some banjo music? Hey, I played the banjo music when we talked the special teams. I played the banjo. Get the jump going.
Storybox Audio.
All right, there we go. Storybox Audio. Rusty, I can tell you it's not a running back. The guy in second, I'll kind of give the guy who it isn't away. Special teams. So there's one guy who played 49 games for the Jets and 98 for Cincinnati. Special teams. If I give you that, you should have a good feel for it. I'm going to give this much away. It's about a minute left to go. Offensive line. Yeah, I got to narrow this one down because looking back at, I put all these questions together before the season starts. This one's a little bit tough. So one's offensive line, and that's the correct answer. The other guy who just barely doesn't qualify, special teams. Billy, how far back in time are we going? Not maybe 20 years, 30 years, 20 years. Right around there. All right, we got timer's getting close, boys and girls. maybe. Yeah, this would not be an easy one. All right, I'll give about 15 seconds. If you don't get the special teams player, you're going to be a little bit upset about this one. The offensive lineman's hard. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give it up. Name the only player to play at least 50 games for the Jets and the Bengals. So the almost correct answer is Mike Nugent. Mike Nugent kicked with the Jets for 49 games, and he went on to kick for Cincinnati, and he was there for 98 games. I thought somebody might say Mike Nugent. But the correct answer, this player played 60 games with the Jets. He was here for about 4 years, and he played 58 games with the Bengals. It's Matt O'Dwyer, the offensive guard. Yeah, Matt O'Dwyer is the correct answer. You know when I only ask you for one answer, and so it's not going to be very easy, right? But he played with the Jets from 1995 to 1998. and with the Bengals from 1999 to 2003. So it was about 25 years ago. So yeah, he was actually here during the some bad years, but also with some good years. So Matthew O'Dwyer is the correct answer. Yeah, Kotite and Parcells. Yeah, he was there for a little bit of both. So, yep. So that is the correct answer. So, all right, next week I'm gonna let me see what the question is I have lined up next week. I want to make sure this is fair. I don't want these to be too challenging. Actually, the week after this, it'll be a bye week question. So I got to get a little bit more creative with it. So, yeah. So I could go anywhere with that question. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. The Knicks are about to begin their season in a few minutes, so I guess I'm going to watch that game against a very good Cleveland team. This could be an Eastern Conference Finals preview. So, again, thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate all of you for being here. It means a whole heck of a lot. And also remember, November 3rd, we won't be doing the show at the regular time. November 3rd, right? Let me make sure. 5th, November 5th. I will be rescheduling that show. I will do a live show that week. I'll let you know next week when I'm going to do it. I'm either going to do it Tuesday or Thursday, but we'll kind of see how it all goes. I just can't do the show on Wednesday. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Don't let the Jets ruin your life. And I will see you all right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody.